Okay, I do want to mention 8 ounces Anchor Lube, 2-pack, available on barzindustrial.com. And still got some bash stuff to give away. Stickers, if you want it, work for it. I've got some scraping guides, 1 square inch and 4 guides for scraping or for grinding in your scraping tools. They say Bar Z Bash 2023, and I've only got a few of them, but I still got what, 4 8-inch Shars rulers, nice stainless steel rulers. So those are going to go out as freebies just to get rid of them, but I do have quite a few of those. So guaranteed you're going to get a sticker, but you're going to get something else, kind of like a grab bag. All right, let's get on with the show. Morning, guys. Welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and I've got a small project. I've probably covered it on the channel before on how to do it, and we've been tasked with building some specialty angles. This is a 20-degree angle, and as you can see, I've already cut them out, heat treated them. They went into the hot shot and got heat treated, and then they got surface ground. It's just flat work. So all the flat work is done. All that's left is the extremities. See, those are still black from heat treat. But you know, they were machined in the milling, in the mill, on the milling machine with you know, with a sine bar. So they're very accurate. They're pretty damn close. But now we're going to grind them because, you know, these things have been up to 1550 degrees. They got pretty hot, so anything can happen, you know. So we got the flat work done. These are 20-degree angles. These are 14.5 degree. Which has some relevance in the gear cutting community. 20 and 14.5 degrees. I guess it's half of the pitch angle of something, whatever. Anyways, they wanted some squares for that, and I was going to show you how I do it. First, we're going to establish one working surface, which is this long axis, and then after that, we're going to establish 90. All right, so let's put these to the side. We're just going to do one at a time. What I've got here is a 246 block that is known and trusted to be square. If you don't know that it's square, check it right out of the box. They're not often square. Good sound. Okay, what I've got is a strap clamp down here with a piece of all thread. I've got this is a hardened clamp, which I probably made a mistake making these hardened because I clamp hardened parts with it. And when I gronk down on these screws, I can leave a dent in there. So I got a little bit of blue towel in there to cushion it. I've got a little cushion in the back so I don't damage the 246 block with the jacking screw. In the back here I got a jacking screw. So we've got all thread, and it passes all the way through. I just got little bits of junk here in the back just to keep them from pulling through, using them as washers. All right. So what we've done here is we used a cylinder square. I got a lot of comments on the channel when I did my last cylinder square video. Can you please demonstrate what a cylinder square is used for? Okay, you notice there's 4 dots on the top, so I can check it north, south, east, and west. A cylinder square is self-checking, so if I come in this way and I get one reading, if I rotate 180 degrees and come back, I should get the same reading if my cylinder square is good. And when I say reading, I mean white piece of paper in the back, plenty of light on that paper, flashlight, shop lighting, whatever. Make sure it's very well illuminated, and you look right down this break point, right where your cylinder square comes into contact with your work, and be very picky on how it, you know, where the tangent is, and you just take that cylinder square and just roll it across, and you look for a sliver of light to come through there. Whatever kind of reading you get, this is just doing it optically. You know, if you're out of square, you don't know how much. All you know is it's either square or it's not. So whatever reading you get here, you should get here. Same thing, all right? This cylinder square is known to be good. And, you know, I checked this surface here, which is the actual square that I'm going to be grinding. It's sitting proud, a good 50 thousandths all the way across there, so I got plenty of room to grind. It looked like I'm going to grind into my block, but I'm not. It's sitting proud 50 thousandths right there, and I checked it with a cylinder square. Another way to do it you know, you're running on a machine surface that's been heat treated. You can see it's all black and scaly. But I mean, you could run an indicator over that. You're going to get, you know, it's going to be real bumpy when you do it, but you can at least get your workpiece square with the block. And then you can see we're also proud here by a good couple hundred thousandths. Now what this is going to do, by bolting it up to a known square block, I can grind right here. I can drop it down on the plate, grind, and finish this side. And then just, without removing the square from the block, I'm going to flip it and then grind here. So however square my block is, it's going to mimic that to my new part, to my workpiece. All right, so that's how we're going to use a 246 block, a known good 246 block, to create a tool. And then when we're done with that, then we still got to do the angles, but we have to use a sign plate for that. And we'll do that later. But I just thought I'd show you how we set up a block really quick to use as a tool, and how to set your work in there squarely to get you started. It doesn't, you don't have to be too picky about this, because whatever you grind away here, you're going to grind away here too. So it's going to end up 90 no matter what. But get it as close as you can. It'll save you some work. You'll have less grinding to do. Okay, so that's that. All right, let's get this ground, and maybe I'll bring you back and we'll do some angle work. Okay, you're back from grinding, and that's how it looks after you've ground your sides nice and flat. And the cylinder square gets us pretty damn close. You know, this thing I probably had about a 3/1000 taper. You know, I had do about 3/1000 of down feed to get that to clean up, so it wasn't terrible. And this one was the same, about 1.5 hours or 2 to get it to clean up. But both sides are clean and 90. And now this is our reference point for the angle down at the bottom. So get your 90 first, and then you do your angle from there. And I thought I'd show you my Plano tray. This is just a collection of junk that I use to hold stuff down. I got little strap clamps that I made a long time ago. Hardened them, never ground them. Just kind of built them. They're handy. They got the threaded hole in the back for jacking screws and tapered front. You can get on some little tiny parts. I've been threatening to super glue on some rubber or copper or something on the tips, because I mean, these things may be strong, but they're so damn hard they dig into my parts. So maybe I can super glue a little block of copper or brass or aluminum or something out on the tip. Anyways, collection of all thread, you know, always handy. Different lengths. It's all stainless all thread, so you can use it with coolant. But cut it off with a chop saw and dress up the ends and use what you need. I've made all kinds of pieces over the years. Cap screws, different lengths. And you know, I chose 1/4-20. This is a 1/4-20 kit. I got little blocks. I don't even know what I made these for. Another little step clamp. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do with a kit like this. You know, just keep it all together. You know, I don't care how hokey it is. You don't spend a lot of time on it, it's okay. Just throw it in there. Be surprised what you can do with a strap hold down kit. But 1/4-20 is good for holding most of your parts. All right, we still got 3 more to do, so I got to get these set up in the 246 block, and maybe I'll show you a little bit of grinding next. Okay, I thought I'd give you a peek at another way to do it. We're just going to do it with a surface gauge and a little test indicator, and we're going to make a sweep. And this is what I've done, is I've tightened this stud right here, and I've got this one here just hand tight, just with my fingers. I put it down, but it's on the rise. You can see that turkey's on the rise, and I told you it was going to be a lumpy, bumpy mess. And watch out! Here comes the big guns. And this is a lot like tramming your mill. You know, if you're going to put your vise in your mill, You just make the sweep and watch the gauge. What it does is if it starts rising up, give it a couple taps down as it's on the move, you know. And I'm pivoting right off of that bolt, so it works like a wedge. And go back and check your base point, you know. This side should be low here. When you get to the pivot, that's about where you want to be. Then as you're traveling, you see she's still jumping up. And the faster you move, the more it jumps around. So we're within about a thou there. So this is another way to do it, other than the cylinder square method. You know, the last one I did, I was within about 3 thousandths. So I'm going to call that good. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this second one up, give it another sweep, check it, and stop making fun of my hammer. All right, time to grind. Okay, this might be a little wiggly, but I got you zoomed way in on the wheel. I'm on a 3x lens right now, and if I traverse, yeah, see it wiggles this camera a little bit because I'm on the machine with a Noga base. But you know, we're gonna try it. If it looks okay on my editing software, we'll go ahead and let it fly. All right, what I'm going to do is get the wheel running, and I'm going to try to talk over the machine and tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. We're going to start off with a little touch off and get some coolant flowing, and then do a rough grind, and then come back with a finished grind. So right now all I'm doing is doing little bits of down feed, looking for some sparks, which I'm just starting to see some. And I've got a full pattern all the way across. I don't even see that. Got silver line all the way across there, so I know I've got full contact over the full part. I'm going to start some coolant and start traversing. You to see the sparks, and after I've got full contact with the wheel, I turn off coolant, because you know, if your part gets too hot, the center of it will bow up and it'll cause what I call a hollow grind. It'll give you a kind of a saddle in the middle of the part. But if you overcool it, it'll do just the opposite. So what I'm looking for is a nice even spark pattern all the way across, which I'm seeing. You know, you're seeing little bits of spark there. Now I'm going to pull back to my beginning. I'm going to go with about a 2/10 down feed, and I'll probably grind it dry. I certainly don't want to overheat the part, but you know, another thing, I don't want to overcool the part. So we're not building up a whole lot of heat here. You see, I'm just seeing little inklings of sparks coming out there. And what you're doing, you're seeing a very even spark pattern as I work my way across the part. That tells me that I haven't worked a saddle into it. You know, I haven't put a bow in it, or it's not, you know, it's not humped, it's not sway back, it's not saddled. I'm seeing a nice even whisker of sparks coming out there. So I've got good contact all the way across. And I'm gonna work my way into the wedge of the wheel. You notice I always grind with my parts moving backwards. So parts are moving from front to back on the wheel. So eventually your wheel's going to develop a wedge. Which you got the leading edge of the wheel, which is doing all the heavy lifting. You got the trailing edge of the wheel. So right now I'm just on the trailing edge, and we're still seeing a couple little whispers of spark there. See that little bit? So you're seeing just last little bits of spark, and now I'm just coming off the part, and she's ready to pull. We're ready to flip the part. But what you're doing is you're not overheating the part, but you're also not overcooling it, because just the opposite can happen if you overcool the part. My coolant was mixed with cold tap water, and it does get the parts very cold when you get that little bit of velocity out of the nozzle. So the parts, I've measured them with a temp gun, you know, they're getting down 40, 45, 48 degrees in there, which is technically overcooling the part. So the part's not going to swell up, it's going to shrink up. And then if you get a nice straight grind with it at 40, you know, mid 40s, you get a nice straight grind then, and then it comes up to room temperature, just the opposite's going to happen. So that's why I do my heavy grinding with coolant on, and then I'll do my last little dusting pass on small parts dry. All right, so now we're ready to flip our block and cut the other side. All right, well, here's part 2 of the wiggly camera mount, and we're on the long axis of that square, so we're going to see how well we did with the dial indicator, or the test indicator, getting that turkey bolted on, and see how straight we got it with the block. So let's fire up and touch off. Looks pretty good. I see a silver stripe all the way along that thing. Not a bad touch off. Let's get some coolant running and work our way across. The leading edge is just coming off the part now. And I think we can run the rest of this no spray. And you're just seeing a little whisker of sparks working your way across. Now depending on how your part's shaped, usually the center of the part gets the hottest. But on this one we've got a little fine pinpoint on the end. That could very easily overheat out at the tip of that square, a little fine point. So now that our part is starting to come up to room temp, I see contact at both ends, but not in the center. Then I don't see any sparks there in the middle, and I see it just out at the end. So sparks. No sparks, sparks. I'm hoping you can see that too. That's the indication of a hollow grind, where your saddle back in the middle. And the only way to correct that is to keep on grinding. So what we're going to do, on this, I would estimate that's no more than a couple of tenths, you know. So we're going to go back to a 2/10 down feed. And come back across the part dry. So I'm seeing the sparks are just a tad lighter in the center. Not much, so a little bit lighter. And every time I change directions, it shakes the camera. This is a really long no-go arm with one of those big double magnets. Okay, now I'm seeing full contact all the way across. You see those little whiskers of sparks? Looks pretty even. And I'm only doing about 10,000ths step overs there. And our trailing edge is just coming off the part, and we are ready to pull it. Okay, well, I've warned you guys about wire edges, and that is not a hair. That is a wire edge. See, it's stuck right to that outside corner. Super hard to photograph. But there's a wire edge for you. And that develops on an outside corner when you grind to a sharp outside corner. There's a piece of it there sticking up. See it? I always warn you to clean your wire edges. Those are bigger than you think. There it is right there. And as long as you're set up for it, the surface gauge is already there. You know, clean your parts, take them over the sink, get them clean, bring them over, and just check, make sure nothing slipped, you know. Make a quick sweep. You're already set up, so it doesn't take nothing just to set it on there, run your gauge across it, make sure you didn't bump your part or something. And it's still pretty wet. I didn't dry it off very good. I can feel the water causing a bunch of friction and actually sucking this block down to the table. Within a tenth or two, I'm happy. Now it's time, now it's time to take it out. Move on to our next one. These are the 14.5 degrees. Both of those are done. We're going to move on to 20 degree. Okay, well, it's time to do the angles. We've got the 90-degree angle done, and we're happy with it. It's square. Now it's time to do our last side of these little tools. And what we're working with, we're on the sign plate, or the magnetic sign plate, is 10-inch. So it's a 10-inch roll-to-roll sign plate. And if you do the math on 20 degrees, it comes to 3.4202. I've got it up there on the board. I've got my working gauge block right here, and I'm just going to give you a refresher on how to calculate a gauge block stack. And some people will go, okay, well, we got to build 3 inches first, then we got to build 400 thousandths, and then we got to build 20, and then they get stuck at the 2. You work it backwards. Always work a gauge stack backwards. Now, if you look at their smallest blocks, we've got 100 thousandths and 2 tenths. And that's, let's see if I can, I don't know if we can zoom in on that or not. Well, that's the part number. There's the size. So that's 100 thousandths and 2 tenths. So all we're gonna do is some deduction. So that's 100 thousandths and 2 tenths. So we're going to take that off. That zeroes this, brings the 0 to here, bring our 2 down, and our 4 turns into a 3. So we got 3.320 left to go. So now we're going to work on this decimal place. So I need, next up I'm going to go to a 120, which I know I have right here. And once again, I'm showing you the part number. There it is. That's 120 thousandths. So now we're do a little more math. I mean, this is going quick. So we're going to deduct 120. 0, 0, 0. Turns that into a 2. So now we need 3.200. So this is getting easier. All right, so we need a 200 thousandths, which I have. There it is. Oh, I got the right side this time. There's 200 thousandths there. So we're doing it so far with 3 gauges. Wipe all the schmutz off of that thing. Now all we need is 3.2 inches. So we're going to go, or excuse me, we just took the 200 thousandths off. I'll go ahead and write it on here. That's a deduct, and that's 0.0003 inch. All right, that's all we got left. So that gets us down to 300, or 3 inches, sorry. So we're going to get a 1 inch and a 2 inch. Put it together, and that makes up our 3. So we did it with 5 gauge blocks. And we're just going to ring all those together. going to show you how to ring them, but we're gonna clean them and ring the block stack together. Go stack it on the sign plate on the surface grinder and grind our 20-degree angle. Okay, maybe I will show you. So you take a piece of clean paper, put it on your plate, and rub each of the mating surfaces on your gauge blocks against the paper gently. Make sure they're flat. Make sure you'll see a little bit of dirt come off them if you left them oily. Even the oil from your hands will do that to them. And when you're done, push them together tightly and slide them on, or put them together 90 degrees apart and knife them on, scissor them on there. And that'll squish all the air out from in between, and you'll end up with a stack that actually stays together like that. Those are not magnetic. They're trading molecules right now. So anyways, that's a gauge block stack. It's ready to go over to the sign plate. Okay, time for a little stunt grinding. What we've got here is a pair of 1, 2, 3 blocks with a piece of all thread all the way through them. I actually had to grind a little bit of this nut and thin one side of it to clear this fence. But you can see there I'm wiggling that rod, so I've got room now. I'm going to take a third 1, 2, 3 block and square these two up with each other. And I need to make sure that I'm sitting proud out here. You can see that one corner is chipped off. We're going to lob these corners off anyway, so I really don't care. But this step is going to pretty much make these two squares a match set. Not that they need to be. And I'm going to push everything into the fence that way. And then I'm going to mag down. I'm going to turn on my magnet. That's going to suck those 1, 2, 3 blocks down tight. And it's going to pull down the two angles slightly. You know, not a lot. Because they're just thin. You know, there's not a lot to them. So at this point, now we're ready to tighten up. And I'm just going to tighten up my my all thread here. And I'm watching for any lift or anything funny going on. And now these things are as one. So our squares are down tight to the plate. Our 1, 2, 3s are down tight to the plate. And we're sitting proud here, so we're ready to grind all this whole side. And I've got my blocks down below. It may look like I'm going to hit my block, but I'm not. Here or here. So I'm ready to grind this. Unfortunately, you guys can't stay there, because guess what has to come in there? Here comes the dust collector. Boom. Okay, now you don't see nothing. So you guys can't stay there. All right, this is the part where you find out how close your machine work was. So we're going to just touch off and try to get a stripe all the way across there. Get a silver stripe across that part, and then we'll plow across both of those and make them equal. They feel very much similar. If anything, the one closest to me is a little bit taller, but I can't even really catch my fingernail on it. All right, so we got them pretty close. Let's see how we do with the grind. About 2 thousandths of down feed, and I'm already all the way out to the end right out there. So I'm going to do a little bit more than that. When I plow across there, I'm probably going to give it an extra thou. Just right now, I'm doing some small step overs. Again, with the 5,000 step overs, it's a pretty deep depth of cut, but with a small step over, you make up for it. And we're going to keep it cool as we go. And here comes the spray. edge is off the part. Now we're just getting little traces of spark. We're going to go back to our beginning, and we're going to give ourselves maybe another couple tenths of down feed and come across it real gentle and finish up this grind. And then we still got to go through and lob off all the corners, because that leading edge right there, that's a weapon. That's a 20-degree angle brought out to a sharp corner. We had to lob off all the corners. Remember, I told you about the chip in the one of them. It was a bandsaw cut or something that never got removed, but I didn't care, because we always round off the corners so they're not. So I don't want my tools to ever be that dangerous. So let's take a couple tenths off of this and finish them up. Seeing a real even spark pattern on the way through. Not really worried about having a saddle back in it or anything like that. Everything's cutting real straight. If you see a lack of sparks in the center of your part, you'll know you got a hollow spot in the middle. I'm seeing a real even spark pattern all the way across. Trailing edge of the wheel is just getting ready to come off. I'm still seeing those, just a few whiskers of spark there. And now it's done. Alright. So that's the 20 degree. We're going to repeat the process for the 14.5 degree. We're going to repeat that process. I'm not going to show you building another gauge block stack. It's pretty simple. That was just kind of a refresher course for you guys. But we can undo all our 1, 2, 3 blocks and our all thread and all our stunt grinding paraphernalia there. All right. But anyways, 20 degrees, done. Okay, well there's the whole rig. There's our gauge stack that we built under there. And there's our parts, and we're gonna release our mag. Should have taken the time to shorten that all thread, but I didn't. It's okay. All right, mag released. This should come off as an assembly now, just like that. All right, all that's left is to lob off those corners, and we're done with this set. Okay, well there's the 20 degrees all cleaned up, and you can see my chambers there. That came in at a nice 45, and then the others we just lobbed off at 90. There's your other chamfer there, and I told you I was going to pull that weapon edge out of there too. Boy, that thing is just not photographing. There it is. So that we just dulled up that point. Otherwise, that just turns into a knife edge there. So these are done, and I admit I took a wool pad on a little air die grinder and just give them a quick polish with a felt pad and a little wax, just to give them some rust protection. So that's kind of the sheen you see there, is just some carnauba wax. And I didn't do the measuring surfaces. I didn't polish the measuring surfaces. So I just waxed the two flat sides just to offer a small amount of rust protection. These are not getting gun blued or anything like that. So anyways, hope the new owner's happy with those. Those are the 20s. There, they don't work in pairs. This is just two individual squares that would work on two different machines. You still got the 14.5s to do, but you know what? That's more of the same. Another gauge block stack, more grinding, more polishing, more lobbing it off. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was mainly focused on grinding and how to set up for 90, how to check for 90, how to set up for an angle cut on a sign plate, how to calculate a gauge block stack. I try to present practical uses for all these skills that really apply to something. I'm not just going to teach you, hey, here's how to make a gauge block stack, and with no context. That's the whole thing, is put it into context and find real uses, and real solutions for real problems. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.